Let us give ourselves that grace that allows us to remember nothing happens overnight, but over time. It's allowing us the kindness for ourselves, and to others, giving that grace, allowing people the opportunity to evolve and grow. That is what we can do to really enhance and encourage ourselves, our children, our coworkers, and people around us. That can make the world a lot better. Hey, and welcome back to another episode here with me at Rosie Talks Life. I again want to thank you all for joining me on this new journey or rebranded journey. Your feedback, your support, your sharing. I mean, it means a lot to me. I thank you for all of the comments, good, bad, and indifferent. It allows me to be better because as we go along this journey together, we'd only improve, right? So thank you again for your support here at Rosie Talks Life. So today, I want to talk about a status that I saw a friend put up on her page, and it kind of just, resonated in my soul. And it simply says, things don't happen overnight, but over time. And I thought to myself, it's simple, but it's profound, it's strong, and it's true. We have a habit of setting ourselves up almost for failure, in my opinion, because we want it right now. We come from a society of add water, mix, and it's ready, the ready-made society. And truly, our parents and grandparents, they came from a different world where they put in the work and they knew that it wasn't going to happen. In fact, they put in the work because they were there for a reason. They were there either to support their families or, attain a dream or just in general making their contribution. And no one really was setting a tight schedule like I must have this done within a month or 2 months. It's the same thing like weight loss. You may be on a weight loss journey and the scale doesn't cooperate with you, but you're putting in that time. Right now, I've been, for example, walking. So initially, I started to walk like about a mile to a mile and a half a day. And now, all of a sudden, I shouldn't say all of a sudden, over the summer, I noticed I could do 4 miles a day. But it went up in increments because it didn't happen overnight. We have a cancel society now where people never really allow you the opportunity to see your true self through the end. So like you might see a sitcom or a show that may take a while to pick up, and then all of a sudden you start getting interested, but for whatever reason the numbers don't mesh with the networks, so they may cancel society. Let us give ourselves that grace that allows us to remember nothing happens overnight, but over time. It's allowing us the kindness for ourselves, and to others, giving that grace, allowing people the opportunity to evolve and grow. That is what we can do to really enhance and encourage ourselves, our children, our coworkers, and people around us. That can make the world a lot better. That's my 2 cents. But we're going to be coming up very shortly with our next trio of women. I am so excited. I've renamed them Triple F. Please come back. Thank you again for joining me here at Rosie Talks Life. I remember when my mother used to talk to me over and over again about one issue or the other, teaching me things, reprimanding me about things, and guiding me, right? And I remember when I just sit there and go, oh, good Lord, what have I done now? And I bring this up for parents who try to drill stuff into their kids' heads because it seems as though they're not listening. Like they have checked out, they're there and they're politely listening, but it looks like they're not absorbing it. Don't lose hope, because I was the classic example of who you thought was not listening. Because as it we go along in this life, we have absorbed a lot of the information and then apply it to real life, now. So I just remember that her efforts were not lost on me and on you, for your parents or guardians or loved ones, on you, because there comes a point when you can pull that knowledge from your back pocket because you always had it with you. So I remember when it seems as though, and then I see it in me when I'm talking to my kids, I'm going, oh boy, here we go. Here goes my mother talking. But then I see that sometimes I look in their faces and then I go, oh, okay, I get it. So I remember when my mother would try to drill stuff into my head and I would wander off, but it stuck. So to the parents and guardians and people in the trenches, don't give up. It's sinking in. Yeah, I remember when she gave great advice.
Where's the pepper sauce? Thank you. Yeah, man. All's pepper sauce. No other heat will do.
Hall's pepper sauce can be purchased at Sam's Caribbean Marketplace, located at 225 Hempstead Turnpike in West Hempstead, or purchased online at sams247.com. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode here of Rosie Talks Life. I have my Triple F ladies here with me today. I'm excited that they agreed to come back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, our last conversation, I thought that we didn't have the opportunity to get into a little meaty sort of textural kind of back and forth. So I figured today, a triple F, and by the way, it means fierce, fabulous, and fearless. There you go. And it really talks about, in all seriousness, how we navigate this life and the things that are thrown in front of us. How do we sidestep? How do we overcome? How do we inspire? All right. So, but we're going to have a couple of questions here that I can't wait to hear their responses. Ladies, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Good to be here.
There you go. And I should say their name. Why don't you introduce yourself?
So my name is Tanika Headley.
There you go.
I'm the Reverend Annette Rodriguez.
There you go.
And Margaret Gordon.
There you go. And believe me, there's levels of spice here that you just... Okay. So, ladies, let's start it off with a, just easy question. Jump in. What is your love language in a relationship?
For me, I think all of us have all the love languages. It's just a matter of which one is more dominant.
Okay.
Right? And this year, this one may be more dominant than the one next
Wow.
year. But for me, it is acts of service. You got to show up. Right? You have to show up. So acts of service, then quality time, right? And the others kind of trickle themselves in various degrees.
So before I jump to the other ladies, is that how you would like to receive the love language, or is that you giving the love language?
Both. I think when the relationship is going well,
Right.
all of that is intertwined.
Right.
And you recognize, for me anyway, that I need you to show up. I need to see how you show me your love So those acts of service is important for me. But that is all my partner as well express his love. So I
Do
am
you have to
accustomed
remind him?
it.
Do you have to remind him?
No, not when it comes to acts of service.
I get back to you. Anyone, jump in.
I can go. All right. My favorite to show folks. I agree also that it's we can have all five. My favorite to show people that I love them and in relationship is quality time. If I give you my time, that means that I am giving you the most that I can give you of myself.
Right.
I've given my time. But in terms of receive, acts of service are how I like to see love shown to me. But I also love physical touch.
Right. Okay.
But that is specifically with like very specific people.
And do you find that you have to maybe, nudge that person like, hello, you're not.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you find that can be frustrating at some?
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
frustrating for people not to be able to read my mind. Like, hello. I'd love for people to know when I need something, but I think to your point, I've grown up around relationships where communication was not a priority. And so I've had to learn healthy communication.
Gotcha. Margaret?
I'm very similar to these two fierce ladies because I'm not currently in a relationship where I receive those display of love. I'll say what I would like to have.
Okay.
Right? And if anyone is listening, this is what I'd like to have in a relationship. All right, no, so on a serious note, I really love acts of service. I believe in knowing me to the point where you know what I want before I ask for it.
Yeah.
And I've always said that to my sister Althea, and if you're ever watching this is a plug for your relationship. Her husband knows what she wants, and he does it without being told or being asked. And I love that. I mean, that's just one of the things, but I think that one is important because it helps me along the journey. You talk about helpmeet.
Right.
Your helpmeet should kind of anticipate your need and fulfill it, especially if they know you and they've known you for a long time. So acts of service is a big one. I also like physical touch, however, privately. I do not
You
like
don't
to
want
be
the public displays.
No,
Oh, okay.
I don't believe that everyone has to see how you kiss me.
Ooh.
Or how you rub my back. It's nice, and I feel it, and I appreciate it.
What about spontaneously? Like, it just happened. Like,
Oh, yeah, I love that.
Right, so it's
I
not
love that.
necessarily overtly, but it's
Yeah.
okay. All
Because
right.
I've had that, and it was fake. So I like
I'm
the-
learning
the-
so much today.
Yeah.
So much. So wait, so let me just kind of segue. Oh Lord. So when we talk about relationships and like what we desire, what did you witness growing up? How did you witness love? Between, I know, because we are here, not only minorities, which I
Yeah.
take a little umbrage to, but we are West Indians. We
Yeah.
are, so we know what we're saying. Can I discuss my parents? No, all right. Like,
But it's important that we do
Yeah.
because we take
Yeah.
our cues from them.
Absolutely.
But
how did you witness?
So-
I know them.
So for me, I definitely witness love, right? And I've learned what to do
Right.
and what not to do.
Right.
I've learned those communication. It took me a while because for me, the women I'm surrounded with are dominant women and they're go-getters. And in a relationship, you can almost emasculate your partner as a result
Strong
of it.
word and true.
So for me, I have learned to be his helpmate. I've learned to, take a step back, take a breath, and understand that he has a voice in our relationship as a result. But that didn't come naturally. That came over time. That I'm still learning.
Right,
those
but
tricks.
talk to your parents. Like, what
So-
did you see?
So for my parents, I saw the private love, right?
Okay.
I saw the private love. They did acts of service right?
Okay.
One person coming home, having the meal ready. You know, I always say my father's cooking is better than my mother's. And
I
but
hope
he
Vicky don't see this.
yeah, she will. But you know, she knows when to come home and anticipate what he needs because that's what he likes, right? But he also knows when, you know, I need to come in, you know, on the side and do it for her because, you know, these things don't come naturally for him,
Right,
right? So for my parents, my God.
But you did have a role model of sorts.
Yes, even to this very day, I have that role model. I grew up with that household of having the
Right,
mother,
the
the
father.
father, right?
Right.
And witness that love. That love wasn't
God
always
bless
the
Let me ask.
best example.
Right.
And I need to stress that it wasn't always the best example because
But
I
they
have
did the
learned-
best with what they knew
Yes, but I've learned what not
to do.
bring
Okay,
into my
we'll
relationship.
circle back. Anyone would like to?
I say it's a blessing for you to have had parents who were role models and having them even until today. My parents were separated before I was born. And so therefore, I've never seen them physically interacted or I've never seen them together, except for maybe when I was like 32. He came and met my mom after he left 32 years
Wow.
ago. But to say that I was raised by my grandmother and she was not affectionate. My sisters would disagree with me to a certain degree because their love language must have been service because she would serve us and she would cook and she would go to the farm and bring back the produce and make sure we ate, and that was what they considered. As I grew older, I'm like, I couldn't hug my grandmother. She said Judas betrayed Jesus with a kiss, and what is it that you want? I'm dead serious. What? She was not affectionate physically. And I saw where what did I just say about my love language? We will do it privately because I want to make sure that it's authentic. So my grandmother never showed physical touch, never hugged us, never
But
kissed
Margaret,
us.
we came from that era because I would say that I think it's safe to say my grandmother's older than your grandmother.
She was born in 1892.
Okay, you just smidged me out. but like my grandfather was born in 1879.
Wow. Yeah.
Just think about that.
Yeah.
So, but they came from an era where the stiff upper lip, you know, spare the rod, spare the rod, spoil it,
Spare the
Spoil
child,
it. Spare the rod, and
spoil the child.
there you go. And, you know, we know that they loved us, but we knew that there was no hugging. Like when I see it on TV, oh, Johnny, I love you so. I'm thinking, wow, you know, it's so different.
Yeah.
So but let me just,
So I grew up in the era of 90s TGIF, all these like Family Matters,
Yeah.
right? Like the Fresh Prince,
Cosby,
Exhibiting
all
Love,
those
right,
people.
Yeah. But I didn't have that at home. So similarly, my parents came from rural parts of Puerto Rico. They were not given affection in the physical affection,
Right.
and so they have never been physically affectionate people. In fact, they became physically affectionate people in 2017 when I moved back to New York after being away for 5 years.
that's interesting.
And they came to hug me, and I was like, why
What?
are you touching me?
Right? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. And so that's been something to get used to, I think, for me personally, but also for them, that they got to a point where they missed me enough that they felt physical touch was then warranted, or that
It almost feels like work in progress, even with themselves.
Yes.
Because with you gone, the void made them maybe become more introspective.
probably.
So then they didn't communicate that to you before you got there.
didn't.
No
So
warning.
you them approaching you, you're like, what's going on?
This is alien to me.
Yeah,
Yes,
wow,
yeah.
wow,
But my
wow.
parents, I think, similarly were together my whole life. Probably shouldn't have been. And their love language was probably acts of service to one another as well. My mom made sure everything was done. My dad received all of it, and then occasionally reciprocated. I think that is
It's kind of patriarchal, though.
It's
like
very
how-
much machista. It's very
Yes,
much patriarchal. It's the culture.
Yes.
Right. But my dad didn't have a father either, and so
that speaks
therein
to-
comes kind of his father passed when he was only 2,
Oh, wow.
and his mom never remarried, so he never had a father figure.
So let me stop everyone. So you all kind of spoke to it. So how would you say, really quickly, that shaped you when you were looking for a relationship, Margaret?
I really wanted someone who, although love is an action word, I wanted to feel it without
Yes.
them saying it and displaying it.
That's important. That's
Right? So the whole lot of I love you, I
You
love
can-
you,
yeah.
good, but show me in different ways.
Nikki, how?
Similarly as well, it shaped me where I went out seeking the acts of service, but understanding that he needed to know that I wasn't my mother. I wasn't going to be his mother either.
Oh, you made that very clear.
Yeah, so, there were boundaries set from the beginning where he understood you won't come home to the cooked meal. You're going to have to feed us. I will show up to the table. And even to this very day, he understands that. God bless him.
You know that you have been gifted, right?
Yes.
I mean, and I'm not even saying it in a condescending nature, because I know this young lady for a while. You have someone who has blended into your world and you to his, because I've seen where your influences are in his world as well.
Absolutely.
Because that's important. One, don't come home and expect any dinner. So Anna, what about you?
I think boundaries are the biggest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Learning when to say no, how to say no. No was never my strong word when I was younger, but now it is.
Hmm.
And so boundaries and communication are
A big thing.
biggest. The biggest.
I'm going to change gears for a second. Who here considers themselves an introvert and who considers themselves an extrovert? And I want to answer that for a second. So I had a conversation with my husband and I said, I actually know that I'm an introvert. You want to giggle?
Oh, yes.
I know.
I don't want to
But it's
I
the
know,
truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
I am not afraid of speaking on camera, speaking in front of thousands of people, meeting you, hee hee ha ha. But I'm intensely private, and I can pull myself away and shut down, where I have to assess many things, and certain situations make me exceptionally uncomfortable. And even sometimes walking into a room filled with people, even though I'm smiling, I'm assessing what's going on. I would rather be in a corner and kind of gauge how I'll navigate. Sometimes we build a facade. That becomes what people think who you really are.
We are, yeah.
So, yes, the personality can be larger than life, but sometimes it could be masking other things. So, again, having said that, who here is an introvert? Okay, girl, hallelujah. What you saying? What you saying? So-
I wrote many academic papers, so I would just like to footnote that as IBID, because everything you said is exactly how I feel about I'm extremely introverted. Whoever meets me will never know that.
Never.
Would never guess it. I'm perfectly fine speaking to thousands of people.
Right.
You don't see me behind the stage like jumping to take all of the panic out.
Right.
But when I go home,
Ooh,
it has to be complete quiet.
yes.
I need silence and good smells, and that's the only thing that will bring me back to my center.
You or me.
Okay.
What
And
about
peop-
you?
and just like Roseanne, I don't think many people would believe in an introvert, and people are gonna laugh and say it's a lie. And I hear Donald chuckling somewhere.
Right.
But I literally get panic attacks when I have to go in front of a crowd to speak.
I could imagine.
My stomach is turning. Once I start, I'm good. If I go to a conference, I'm like, who am I going to speak to first? And I'm looking around and I don't know anybody. And I will go in the bathroom for a good 20, 30 minutes just to avoid that
To center
networking.
yourself and center yourself.
And I realized I didn't know it was because I was an introvert to some degree. And so I've learned how to mask it.
Yep.
I've learned how to walk the room and work the room, and I'm dying with
Right?
a smile.
With a smile, right.
Yeah, but it's.
Do you
it's-
know how many people out there you're speaking to?
Yeah.
I think what this show, what I'm hoping it will achieve as we continue conversation, and I hope for a commitment here, is that as people see us as we navigate, that they realize that there's so much more of us that walks through their spirit.
Yeah.
And that they are not alone in this. Because so many people are building themselves up unnecessarily, as I said. It's over time, not overnight. You know, let us understand that we do actually suffer from many things. But we try, as you said, to walk through with a smile. I mean, listen, because you have to either deflect or dodge or pivot or, because this life is not kind. It's not kind.
So, I thought I was an extrovert.
High five, girl.
I thought I was an extrovert, but listening to you ladies, I'm like, that is so mean. That is so mean.
You see? You see?
I could be asked and I could show up in a dime, right?
Right.
But if you give me a commitment that says on November 4th, you're going to be doing this, I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do?
Yes, yes. You start percolating. Right.
But I think I show up differently to certain situations. When I'm confident with something, I am the extrovert in me comes
Absolutely.
out, right? But yeah, I mean,
That's
have
when your
to-
spirit feels safe.
Yes, but
When
I
you're
think
in a
I-
safe space, even if sometimes it might be unknown, you feel the energy is kind, you feel safe, you're good.
yeah, I'm good.
But then when you walk into a prickly place of gunfire, you go,
But I know how to withdraw, and I need to recenter myself, right? So I know how to withdraw and get to that quiet place, because Lord knows you do need that recenter to show up.
Yes, you
for
do.
The next
I have
time.
another question, but thank you. That sparked a thought, because you would think, oh, extroverted, or no, but it's in fact a little different, right? Not that we don't have it in us, but it's a little different. I have 2 questions that I'm afraid to ask. Okay, so let's change gears professionally for a moment. What have you learned about building healthy work relationships?
Drink water, my love.
Exactly. Drink water and mind your business. That's it. That's it.
I have learned.
If that's your answer, I can move on.
No, in all honesty,
You go for it, girl.
set those healthy boundaries from the beginning, because if you cross them, you have to know how my response is going to be, and therefore no longer take offense to that response.
Correct.
I don't mind reminding you, right? I think sometimes we may forget, we become familiar, right? But in
Boundaries.
but in a professional relationship, you need to set healthy boundaries where that person knows how you're going to show up and how you expect them to show up as well.
I agree.
You agree? Listen,
I agree, but I also think it takes time to get there.
Yeah.
And I think when you're in your 20s and you're first entering the workforce, that's not how it feels.
No.
You feel like you have to be friends with everybody, and you have to be at your best all the time, and you have to show up 100%, and that means be everything for everyone all the time. At least that's what it felt like for me. But I got to the place where you are because I was hurt along the way.
yeah.
By coworkers who didn't have the same intentions that I did, which is fine, it's fair, but boundaries are absolutely necessary.
And I agree with you, but it's challenging though. It's challenging for many reasons. I would love to have all my unemployed friends and family members work where I work, because I know they need a job and it's a great place to work. And so I'll introduce them and I ask them certain questions. Just do not say, I'm your bestie. Rosie, me and Rosie, we've crossed paths so many times, but we remain professional. Donald, quite a few people. And I'm in a position of authority, and no one, and I've said to myself, no one will ever say I was unprofessional.
Right.
That is
Right.
No one will ever say you crossed the boundaries that you shouldn't have crossed as a friend or as having a relationship outside of work.
And even so,
I believe in that.
And speaking to what Margaret said, I know in my case with Margaret, I actually avoided you, right? Because I didn't need to have that line marked.
Yes.
or become muddled where
That's right.
people,
Yeah.
because it wasn't worth it for me in that way. Another quick question, because we have less than 3 minutes. How do you stop comparing yourselves to others? Like professionally, like you're sitting there and you're looking at others. How do you stop compare? Because then it could cripple you.
It can, but I don't think you do. I don't think you ever, haven't stopped, or I haven't learned to stop.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
What I'm learning to do is to take the qualities that speaks to me, right?
Okay.
And can I apply, right? Is there something that's lacking within myself that I could take from you, learn from you, and apply it?
So you use it as a motivator.
That is correct. I can't do this one is here, this one is there, because I've done that and it has crippled me, right?
Similar. I've only just gotten to that place where I will look at someone and in a previous season will say I would have gotten completely jealous and been like, ugh, that witch,
Right, right.
can't stand her. But now I'm like, why am I jealous?
Right.
What is it
Speak
that's
to it. Right.
bringing these feelings up in me?
Right.
And I'm like, oh, it's because I want the Audi. Okay, got it. That's fair.
Yes.
It's
Fair
okay
enough.
to feel jealousy and envy, but it's important to locate where it's coming from, why it's there, and
address it.
how we can address it exactly.
I don't think I do.
But
Sorry, the only person I'd really like to be is Oprah. You're listening, Oprah? I'd like to be you.
that
I,
Oprah.
I really don't compare myself with. Not that I don't see greatness, but I don't compare
Right.
myself. I honestly don't.
So
Yeah.
so then I'm gonna start wrapping this up really quickly. Share really quickly your happiest memory.
Period.
Period.
When I gave birth to my daughter.
That is not mine. My favorite memory is graduating from NYU at Yankee Stadium.
Oh wow, that's a visual there.
I would love to say it was giving birth, because it was a beautiful time to, finally get rid of them out of me. But it was walking down the aisle.
In Jamaica.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was yeah. And then finally wrapping it all up. How do you practice gratitude, Margaret?
Pay it forward.
That's
Find
simple.
someone that I can appreciate and show my love and concern for by doing what someone else did for me.
Okay. Anna?
I thank God every day for toothpaste and toothbrushes. It's really that basic sometimes.
No, I hear you.
We bless the Lord for hygiene.
Hide.
Bless the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
I think for me, I feed it into my children, right? So I change, how I show gratitude by teaching them as well how to show gratitude. So, daily we give thanks for the things that we have, because Lord knows I came from where I came from. So they have to see it, and they don't see the struggles I came through as a kid,
Right.
so they don't understand the gratitude that I have.
Right.
But so I have to show them, that there are others that are not as fortunate.
So for me, and I'm going to wrap this up, is that I was taught by my mother, who for me is one of the wisest people I've ever known in my life, that in everything I give thanks, in the good and the bad, because I'm learning something from it. So I always stop in the moment and say, what are you teaching me, Lord? I say it in my head. So I'm cognizant of the fact that every day is not going to be strawberries and roses, that there's something pertinent that's coming to me through this lesson. Ladies, Triple F, you fierce ladies, you fabulous ladies, you fearless ladies. Thank you so much for joining me on this another episode of Triple F here on Rosie Talks Life. They're laughing at that, but I have a commitment, right, of us
Yes.
meeting again, and we're going to delve deeper. Annette, what was that look?
that was happiness.
Okay, thank you again, and we thank you for joining us here at another episode of Rosie Talks Life. I'll see you soon.